beginnings on the cusp. Not too old to adjust. Old dog, new tricks. Remember, I was just a pup. Something dirty in my cup. Clean soul, good karma is a must. Still my shooter in the cut. I was stuck inside a rut. Played the game, made bank, moved G. Anything to get a buck. You won't find me in the club. I'm in the lab trying to sharpen up the sword. Swinging blades at these scrubs. Bitches flock like bugs to the light. Getting right. Treat my hoes like these raps. I don't really got a type. Off top, bullshitting. All I needed was a mic. Yeah. Hey, pass the rock, it's all butter. Pack your bags and take flight. Don't worry, it's all covered. Hey, live your life while you can. Our days are all numbered. Rain could cause thunder, but the sun comes after, clearing up the disaster.
Isn't it lovely? I ain't looking back, I'm focused on what's in front of me. Everybody dates a number, but I'm still here luckily. I know that God got me, so I'm in good company. Like, yeah.
I got some places I should take you to see. You know it's easy when you ride with a G. Light speed, moving fast through the city, trying to find me some peace. I finally lived to be the guy that I was dying to be. Still I got some trust issues, people lie through their teeth. The more I grew, the more they hide in the crease. Squad building, weak members get released. If we trying to compete, starting pitchers need relief. Bro, we building a team, everybody got a niche. I've been known to play mine to a T, but it's time for me to lead. Picking dirt right out the cleats. Steep path, roadblocks in the streets, trying to knock me off my feet, cause the devil never sleeps. So I don't sleep too, and trying to breach safes that I didn't have the keys to. We all been victims of trauma we ain't agreed to, but the sun comes after, starting up a new chapter.
Isn't it lovely? I ain't looking back, I'm focused on what's in front of me. Everybody dates a number, but I'm still here luckily. I know that God got me, so I'm in good company. Like, yeah. Isn't it lovely?
What is it, people? Welcome back to the channel. Oh, video's shaking there, isn't it? So welcome back to the channel. It is week 3 of this post-diet phase, this gaining phase, and at this point in the gain phase, we're not expecting a huge amount to have happened, right? Because it's only early days. I've had 2 calorie adjustments. Haven't had any adjustments since the last time we spoke, but the body weight it's too early to say if it's gone up, right? So my body weight from my lowest point has gone up about 1 kilo on average, but some of that is likely just down to my physique filling out, getting more full across different muscle groups that would have got flatter in at the end of the diet phase, right? Like my chest, like my delts. It's typically my body parts that are the weakest that get the flattest, right? When I talk about flat, I'm talking about they are just not as filled up with water, with glycogen, and this results in the muscle volume looking lower. And then as a result of just eating more food, I'm going to have more food in my digestive tract. That's going to also play into body weight going up. So we're probably taking this initial month here to see, okay, after, glycogen stores are filled out, water stores are filled out, and my body weight somewhat stabilizes with this same level of gut content. Now, am I going to be able to start kind of seeing some minute changes on the scales, right? Now, for me, I'm not really expecting to see massive changes on scales week to week, because my rate of gain is set up to essentially be about 1 kilo per month. That is going to translate to 250 grams or so per week, which is just not really a ton of change to be seeing week to week. So the kind of big things that we're really looking at through this gain phase, of course, is going to be essentially looking at that average across the month versus looking at it too in-depth week to week, because I'm very liable through gaining phases to have weeks where my body weight will stay the exact same. I'll actually throw up on the screen my log from this week, right? My weight pattern very much has a kind of like this trend where my weight will hold the exact same for a couple of days, right? It will literally be the exact same number, no fluctuations. And then all of a sudden it will go up. And this is kind of why using like the average is way more beneficial than using like the day-to-day number. But then as well, it's also useful to look at over a broader period of time, because relative to a diet phase, the scales is not telling you as much relative to the pictures. The pictures are probably the most important thing within the gain phase, and you're kind of using the weight training as a proxy of, are we eating sufficient calories, right? That alongside training performance. We're kind of looking at training performance to ensure that that's going up over time. However, I do feel my body that could probably do a deload pretty soon. I'm not gonna lie. I'm feeling quite achy. Elbows are feeling achy. I feel like my lower back is getting quite fatigued quite quickly. And then as well, I'm also noticing more of a trend to stalls or regressions despite having more calories coming in. And I know I talked about that in the last video, that we'd expect performance improvements with higher calories, and that is probably something we should assume. However, haven't really had much of a deload. Like, as in, so far the deloads I've been taking across the last couple of months since starting my AJ, they've all been around events that I've had, which is not a bad way to do it, right? If you have some life event pop up, which is going to force you essentially to take time off the gym, it's probably a good idea to maybe kind of take that as a deload. However, some people, when they're going on holidays, they're just going to have a relaxing holiday. I had 3 days just full on like partying in Ibiza, very little sleep, excessive alcohol intake, and that's not really the best kind of state to be in when you're actually doing a deload, right? So we can't really even say that was like a recovery deload. That was just like, I just wasn't training. So I do feel like I could do it one very, very soon, which I'll say to AJ in my next check-in, which I'm going to be doing in the morning. And yeah, we'll see what he says, because yeah, like even like other signs and symptoms are there, okay? So say for example, performance stallings or regressions are one thing, aches and pains are another thing, but then even, I guess, a little bit of drive to me in the gym. This week I didn't feel terribly focused when I was training. Sleep paralysis demon. So yeah, I've kind of noticed that this week I haven't been as motivated, or just didn't have drive. Like, say for example, despite eating 500 grams of carbs per day, my pumps are not as good, right? That's another big sign. Sleep is in a good spot. Energy through the day is actually kind of variable, which is actually surprising. So I've got a few different symptoms there that I could probably do a little bit of a back step. Now I know AJ, the way he does deloads, he will typically keep the intensity relatively the same, but he'll just get you to drop the volume. So he calls it a devolume more so, right? So we'll see what happens across this next week. But today's rest day, so I'm going to bring you through how I'm having my rest day meals set up. It's not going to be typical day of eating, really, because on rest days, like a Saturday, myself and Emma tend to do something a little bit different. You know, make a meal together that we don't usually make. We'll go out for food or something like that. And yeah, I kind of like my fats are increased. So today it's 250 grams of carbs. 250 grams of protein, 400 grams of carbs, 90 grams of fat. I've got a new weapon that arrived in the post yesterday, which I'm going to show you later on, that I'm going to use for the likes of either baked oats or pancakes. I haven't quite decided. But look, I've rambled on here enough. I might need a deload. Too early to tell if we're doing a good job in the scaling phase. I know for a fact though I'm executing well, which is the main thing, and giving my coach good data so he can make the best decision possible. And that's what matters. Execute, collect the data, and then just continue following the plan. You know, when this combination of ingredients is out, only one thing is about to go down: pancakes. If you want the recipe, I have a video if you go back a few, but we're going to have bacon medallions intertwined with the actual stack. We need 1 egg. We need 100 grams of claras huevos, egg whites. We need 100 grams of low-fat Greek yogurt. We need 100 grams of oats. We need 5 grams of baking powder. A few squirts of this. We need a banana, which I'm not going to show. And then this is the secret weapon: maple cream. I paid €20 for this, but honestly, worth. It's absolutely worth it. Used to get this in Canada all the time. Essentially, it is just caramelized maple syrup. So it kind of forms a spread. It is essentially crack in a jar. So yeah, I'm gonna add blueberries as well to these, so I'll show you them when they're done. All right, muchachos, myself and Emma are just on our way to do a sauna. Lovely lovely rest day activity. I have to say, that sack of pancakes was probably one of the nicest ones I've had in a while. You know, I've been using honey for like the last few months, and honey is okay, but you just can't beat maple and pancakes, specifically maple butter. So you see, I did like melt it in a microwave there. That's essentially just so it like almost turns into like maple frosting. Fucking delectable. So yeah, looking forward to this sauna now. We both haven't done it in a while, but it's always just nice to spend a bit of time of the day not on your phone. Maybe we'll actually talk to each other. We'll see about that one. But yeah, just a bit of time relaxing in the heat, because it's actually a little bit chilly today. Not chilly, but like definitely you can tell that it's September and summer is over. That is the sauna done. We are just chilling now after, because sitting in the heat like that is exhausting. So we did one 15-minute round, then we had a break, and then we did 10 minutes. I always feel when I go in for the second round after the first one that I'm just like so antsy to get out. It's not nearly as relaxing as the first one. So yeah, that was nice. I was actually reading on a mass research review this week about a study that they were doing to see if there's any improvements on like strength and muscle adaptations when you pair sauna up with like a training program. Now, the study itself didn't find any meaningful changes in adding sauna. However, one of the big limitations of the paper itself was they used an infrared sauna, and the infrared sauna they typically don't get as hot relative to a sauna like we use there, which is a cold sauna. And then as well, in the study protocol, they were getting to do like 10-minute rounds, and it's an important kind of concept, I guess, when it does come to any type of modality that you're using for recovery or to get some like strength adaptation, muscular adaptation, cardiovascular adaptation. The dose of the protocol needs to be sufficient enough, it needs to be long enough for an adaptation to take place, right? The body needs to be under enough of a stress for an adaptation to take place. And in that study, the heat probably wasn't high enough. I think the sauna itself got up to 31 degrees at like waist level, which compared to a sauna like that, where you're looking at like the actual air temperature is probably, you know, 50 to 60 degrees, right? So nearly double. And then as well, 10 minutes. Anybody who's done a sauna probably knows that, like, yeah, it's 10 minutes, and 10 minutes is manageable. But if you stay in it for like 20 minutes, you really start to, like, you know, it starts to get challenging. And like, I probably do think there has to be some element of it being challenging. So it'd be interested to see if there is a study that comes out in the future that has like a longer protocol paired with resistance training studies, because it would be pretty cool to be like, yeah, you know what, I'm going to do a 30-minute sauna after my training session, and it's going to help augment my gains. I would absolutely be on that. But for now, it's relaxing at the very least. So we'll keep on doing it for that reason. Boo, England. Alright, we're back from the sauna, we're back from the shop. So for burgers later, we have these small burger buns. So that means I can have two. We have lean beef mince, which is extremely hard to find in Spain. So Spanish people are not as fat as Irish people, just putting it bluntly. So they don't really have like the whole like lean this, lean that, high protein this, high protein that, low fat, everything under the sun. They just have normal beef mince, like regular fat beef mince, like 10-18% beef mince. So you have to go to the British butcher to get this lean mince. I'm assuming they just get a fillet steak and put it through the grinder. Also got myself some smoked bacon, so I can put that on top of the burger, as well as some cheese. So we're going to be making bacon cheeseburgers later on. But right now, I need to make a yogurt bowl. So today being a little bit lower in carbohydrates, I'm still having 400 grams of carbs per day, which is higher than my highest day of carbohydrates during my diet. So it does mean I can still have some big carbohydrate meals, so like the likes of the pancakes, the likes of the burgers later on. So I'm gonna have burgers, 2 burgers, and then I'm gonna have potatoes alongside that. And then I could already have one more higher carbohydrate meal. But to kind of fill up the rest of the macros, I'm gonna have a protein and fat heavy yogurt bowl. So I'm gonna put that together. But essentially what I'm gonna be putting in it is Greek yogurt, lots of nuts, dark chocolate, some fruit, and that is going to keep me tied over until maybe about 4-5 p.m. when I have my next meal. So yeah, I'm going to put that together, show you what it looks like, and then we have a lot of programming to do today. So my group program is starting on Monday, so I have a few more setups to do for that, so they have everything set over them for tomorrow. And then I also have some new one-to-ones who signed up as well, so I have to get them set up too, as well as some existing clients who are competing towards the back end of the year, so I need to do their peaking plan. So it's going to be a long day spent at the laptop. If you think getting into online coaching is going to be just every day is something new and exciting, and sitting on the beach all day, I definitely do some sitting on the beach for sure, because I live right beside it, but most of the time I'm actually just sitting in my office. Anyway, it is what it is. This is the life I chose, and it's the life I love. Right, time to eat. 500 grams of phage Greek yogurt. Low fat Greek yogurt is an absolute hack if you're looking to keep your protein high, as well as getting some good quality nutrients. Obviously it has lots of good calcium in there to keep your bones strong, and it also does help with things like muscle contraction too. So we do need to have some calcium in our diet to help with muscle contraction. There's also going to be nice beneficial cultures in there that can be benefit for your gut. We are also going to have some almond butter, 2 Biscoff biscuits, they're all crushed up there. We have some 85% dark chocolate, and then I'm also going to crush up some pistachios. So I'll show you when it's up. And there we have it. You cannot tell me that that doesn't look absolutely amazing. Nuts are an underrated way to get in a solid amount of nutrients and fiber and some very beneficial fats. So yeah, if you're looking to increase your fat intake, increase your fiber intake, increase your overall nutrient intake, add some nuts into your yogurt bowls. All right, get creative, try a few of them. I usually go pistachio, almond butter, peanut butter. Sometimes I'll have walnuts, sometimes I'll have cashews. I like to mix them up because they all taste lovely. Quick break from work for a bit of 4 p.m. lunch. Not really lunch, is it? So this is chicken breast pan fried with some soy sauce. There's rice, there's peppers, there's mushrooms, there is onion, there's garlic, there's almond butter and chili oil. And then I used this paste. So essentially, when the veg is pretty much cooked, or after the onions and garlic are cooked, I'm adding in the peppers and mushrooms. I'll throw 15 grams of this in. The calories on it are very low. So if you're wanting to give a bit of flavor to your meals, something like this is going to be really, really key. So it is just a paste, so you do need to add liquid. So you see there, in terms of calories, per 100 grams, you're talking about 94 calories. So we can say for the 15 grams you use there, use 15 calories, and it's going to pack in a lot of taste. So add that in, add in some almond milk, leave that to simmer, and boom, I essentially have a Penang curry. There we go. Time to get this down, and then we're gonna have a bit of a chat. I hope one thing that you guys get from watching these videos is maybe some inspiration as to how to make your meals actually tasty while following like the pursuit of improving your physique or improving your performance. Because you can see most of the time I'm eating some pretty nice meals, I'm putting some effort into them, and that's one of the main things. Like, naturally enough, your diet is not going to be the most enjoyable thing to follow. It's not going to be, you know, easy to adhere to a diet that is boring, bland, tasteless. I say it all the time, use spices, use herbs, put some effort in when you're actually making a meal. Like, try out different cooking methods. Like, there has been times when I have made things that I wasn't too keen on, and that's completely cool, because, you know, if I miss out on a meal or something here or there from experimentation, I could have been onto an absolute game-changing meal, or I just find out that that's a meal that I shouldn't make again. You know, so it's, you have to go through this process. Nobody taught me how to cook, right? Nobody taught me how to cook. My mom never taught me how to cook. I just had to figure it out by myself. And I guess like it's one of those skills that, like, you know, like who gets taught to cook? You know, unless you have a parent who is like a great chef, it's gonna have to be something that you just learn through trial and error. Like, definitely when I was growing up, I made some pretty dog ass meals. I remember one time I was trying to get into eating vegetables, so I never ate vegetables up until I was about 21 or so, and I was like, right, I'm gonna start including more vegetables in my diet. And I remember I made this one meal, right, and I was like, okay, broccoli seems like a pretty tame vegetable to start off with, but I was like, I don't want to have the big florets, I don't want to have the big chunks. So what I did was I got like a couple of florets and I diced the entire thing down, like literally into smithereens. And I was cooking it in a pan with chicken. I was like, oh, that looks a little bit bland. At the time, I wasn't really aware of like calories and macros, right? So I just got like oil, put it in. I was like, okay, that looks fine. And I was like, oh, that still looks like it might need a little bit more to hide the taste. So pour, pour, pour. I was like, bit of peanut butter here would be good too, right? Kept scooping loads and loads of peanut butter. And essentially, like my dad's like, oh, can I try some? And he tastes it. He's like, that is disgusting. Like, it was genuinely like just like oily peanut butter. It was basically like oil and peanut butter with added chicken and broccoli versus chicken and broccoli with oil and peanut butter. It was horrendous. But you have to learn. You have to do that type of stuff. Maybe not to that extreme to find out meals and ways of cooking things that are going to suit your preferences, right? But anyway, aside of that, so this weekend in Ireland, the WNBF is on, and just kind of reflecting from, you know, seeing everybody getting up on stage. Well, people are going to be getting on stage tomorrow, but just looking at some of the physiques that are getting up there, and I'm like, taking this time away from stage has definitely been the right call, because there are some absolute killers in the Irish national bodybuilding scene right now. And I've never said this on my channel. I've only said it to some people close to me, but I'm going to say it right now because I think it would be a good one for me to look back on in a couple of years' time, right? The next season I do want to go pro, and I feel like I could have it in me to do so. Now, people talk about going pro all the time, and I think some people get into bodybuilding with that as like their initial motivator, right? They want to have the pro card because it comes with a certain degree of status. It comes with, status mainly, and I guess maybe some people think that turning pro in natural bodybuilding is going to have the same benefits as it would in the IFBB. It definitely doesn't. Typically, if you turn pro in a natural bodybuilding federation, it just means you can do less shows because there aren't as many of them. You have to pay more for the shows as well. You have to pay more for the entry. You have to pay more for that. You have to actually pay more to hold the card across the years. And the standard of competition just goes way up, right? Now, I don't want to go pro for the sake of going pro. I want to go pro because I feel as if I have done enough work to get to that position, okay? And for me, that is the only way that I would feel happy to have done it. So say, for example, when I did my first season in 2022, I competed in a WNBF show. That was the first WNBF show in Ireland. And I was in the overall. And I was up against James Melville, who I had on my podcast. If you go back a couple of videos on my page, you'll see my podcast that I did with him. So I was competing against James in the overall, and James is a phenomenal bodybuilder. Like, he has competed for years and years and years. Like, he's really top level. Him at that point, pro physique and pro at everything else, right? He absolutely deserved that. I remember being up on stage at overall thinking like, oh my God, I could win my pro card here right now. You know, and I was thinking in my head like, oh, what's that? What am I going to do when I get the pro card? Like, you know, am I going to like go to Worlds and like, you know, compete as a pro? I'm going to compete in the pro ranks. But at that point, I didn't deserve it from a physique standpoint, but I also didn't deserve it from an outlook perspective. I would have just been getting the card just for the sake of saying I have the card. I wasn't a pro completely in my behaviors. I certainly wasn't a pro in like living a bodybuilder lifestyle. And I think now across the last couple of years, as I have gone deeper and deeper, right? So like when you are training hard, training progressively towards goals for a long period of time, a lot of the characteristics and traits start to compound, right? You are able to kind of execute a plan to a greater degree of detail than you were previously, right? So say for example, the first time I would have dieted for a holiday, I would have been able to, you know, track my calories and get within a certain range of my protein target, maybe get within a certain range of my calorie target, like most days, but not every single day. I may have gotten most of my gym sessions done across the week, but I might have missed one or two here or there. I may have had like some nights of great sleep, but I might have had some nights of shit sleep from me actually, like, you know, not having good sleep habits. Now, then over time, as your goals get more and more intense, you are essentially going to have to rise the level of your goals. You are going to have stronger systems in place so that you can essentially work towards those goals with greater success. And you're also you're kind of earning the right to set those goals, if that makes sense, right? So in my first season, I definitely did not earn the right to set that goal of like, or even think about that goal of having won a pro card, because relative to other people who are pros, I was not like them. I didn't have the physique, I didn't have the habits, I didn't have the behaviors, I didn't have the lifestyle. Now, I definitely do think, you know, my physique has come on quite a bit across the last 3 years. And I think in the next 2 years, it's going to come on even more, considering I'm dedicating everything towards bodybuilding. It's not just this in and out with powerlifting and bodybuilding at the same time. It's just, I am so focused on bodybuilding. That's it. I just want to improve as much as I can as a bodybuilder up to 2025, do my season, and whatever I need to work on then, whether I don't get the card, do get the card, that it doesn't matter. I know by the time I've gotten 2025, I will be at pro status without the card, right? I will have all my behaviors operating like a pro. I'll have my training operating like a pro. Everything I need to encapsulate or create a pro-worthy physique, I will be doing them. And I think I do them pretty well right now. And I guess this is something for you to consider when you are setting your goals, right? Set goals that are realistic for you and where you are right now, okay? I feel like that's a realistic goal for me to be setting based off the length of time I've been doing this thing, the amount I've been dedicated towards, you know, just the overarching goal of improving my physique across like the last 10 years, and how much every year that application has gotten better and better and better, and how much more I'm investing now in the process towards then, okay? So when I start with AJ and we were talking through goals, the first thing I said to him in terms of my number one goal was to ensure that any show that I'm at, I'm able to get a podium placing. Now, naturally, that may not always happen depending on who gets on stage with you, right? However, for me to set that goal, that requires me to think about the people who are in the podium placing. What are they doing to get there? And what is going to maximize their chances of getting there? And that results in your training. It's a non-negotiable, right? For some of my clients who may be more kind of lifestyle oriented, gym is not their life. They miss a gym session here or there for things that are valid reasons for them, given their values. That is okay. For me, considering the level of my goals, that's not okay. Because the guy that I'm competing against, he's not missing his gym sessions. It comes down to tracking my calories. It comes down to hitting my calories within a very fine target. It comes down to hitting my protein, carbs, fats within very fine targets. It comes down to me ensuring I'm keeping on my activity day to day. It comes down to me ensuring that my sleep behaviors, right? very overlooked aspect of recovery. In bed, same time every day, wake up, same time every day. Same relaxing activity leading into bed, same thing with caffeine usage, leading in early on the day, try to cut it off. All these different things, earplugs in, eye mask on, noise completely shut out, less electronic usage coming up to bedtime. All these different things are going to help resolve, or all these different things which are going to result in a better night's sleep. For the most part, trying to keep my stress low. I'm a pretty chill guy. I don't get stressed out over many things. And even with that, I've got pretty decent stress coping abilities. Anytime something does come up that stresses me out, typically I just deal with it. I just kind of try to get the stressor tackled and removed so I can get on with my life, versus let it sit at a low hum in the background and chronically stress me out. But these are some small things, right? Or they're seemingly small, but there's things that are kind of happening every single day. Now, as I do them every single day, and I keep on with that military-like precision, okay, I'm optimizing my chances of getting that, podium placing every time. If I follow my coach's check-in advice, he gives me a pose and tweak, I implement it. He gives me a nutrition adjustment, I implement it that day. He tells me to do some cardio, I do it. I'm putting faith in him to guide the process. He's put people there before. He knows what it takes to get there, and he's imparting that wisdom onto me. And it's up to me to record the data, send it back to him, be honest about the process. And these are all just day-to-day behaviors, which over time to 2027, if I can do them and do them well enough, then I should be in the position where I have a physique that's built that will be worthy of definitely placing every show I do, okay? Depending on who shows up, of course, right? But it's definitely going to be worthy of podium. And if I'm very lucky, I could get awarded a pro card, okay? However, if I can do all those things, they're pro level behaviors. They're doing what a pro would do. And then the only difference between me getting my pro card in 2027 or getting it in the following season is just the length of time, right? Now, I don't want, when that time comes, I want to have earned it. I don't want to have gotten it by a fluke. If, say, for example, James didn't do that show in 2022 and I won my pro card there, I think right now I'd be reflecting on it and saying, I kind of wish I didn't win there, because when you win something like that, you want it to be the lineup was good. You didn't get awarded because there wasn't enough people in the show or the quality was not too high. You want to win it because it's this guy is fucking deadly and he's beating other deadly people. And that's the position I want to be in. There's only so much of that I control, which I talked about already, but it's very relevant for yourself who is watching this. When you are considering the goal that you want, okay, you need to consider the person who has that goal, the person that you may be competing against, what they are doing, what you are not doing. And for sometimes you might set that goal, which is a bit of a stretch, right? And there's a huge gap between where that end goal is and where you are right now. And sometimes the best option in that situation is to lower the goal and get towards something that's a little bit more achievable, right? Because I know based off the last season that I did with the placing I did get, it's very, very reasonable for me to say I want to get in podium position for every show I do. It's a bit more of a stretch for the likes of the pro, because there's the level of detail, level of conditioning, level of muscle mass that you need, and then again you just need to be at the right place, right time to a degree. But say for example you're just getting into bodybuilding right now, you're just starting, right? You're about to do your first season, you're into the gym a couple of years. You don't really have the kind of right to kind of set the goal of becoming a pro. Your goal could be, I want to get first call-outs. Okay, and then after that, you get first call-outs, you get your podium placing. After you get your podium placing, you come first. After you get your first place, you win the overall. After you win the overall, then you're like, okay, yeah, I'm the best bodybuilder at that show. If I am doing a show where there's a pro card, you're going to get it. But if you do another show that has a pro card, you're probably in the chance to get it too. So you absolutely set that goal. And then probably the final part, after you've considered all those things and considered, okay, well, relative to where I am right now and the goal that I have, how much of a gap do I need to close? And do I maybe need to reset my goal, make it a little bit smaller, make it a little bit more achievable, so it actually feels like you can work towards the kind of habits, behaviors, the physique development, and whatever it may be that may kind of get you closer to that goal. The next thing you actually need to consider is, what am I going to give up for this goal? And I actually think this is a really good thing to think about because people don't think about it enough, right? Generally, when I'm speaking with clients and they want to work towards something, it's something I'll frame to them. Because if you have high level goals and they're really, really specific, there is going to be things that you're going to have sacrifice on to get where you want to be. I've had a busy summer. I've had an active and social summer. I've had weddings. I've had trips to Ibiza. Infrequently, these things are fine. Every couple of weeks, no bueno. Especially if you're going to be a pro, if I'm going to be a pro, if I want to be a pro, and especially, as we get closer and closer to the likes of competition time, right? So those are going to be things I'm going to give a miss on. I already have friends who are planning getting married in 2027, and I said to them, I'll be able to go, but I'm not going to be drinking. I'm not going to be probably having the meals. I'll be there as a friend, so I'm going to have to give up on some aspects like that for the goal that I do have. And for some people, that won't be worth it, no matter what it is. It could be getting in shape for a holiday. Maybe somebody wants to get in shape for a holiday and they don't want to give up their weekend takeaway. Fine, you can find a way to work it in. However, you're going to be lost straight to other places. You don't want to give up your beers at the weekend, or your Friday, Saturday night beers, Thursday, Friday beers, whatever it may be. Okay, that just means you're going to have to sacrifice calories elsewhere. Maybe you're going to have to do a little bit more kind of steps to offset it. So that means you're going to have to sacrifice time for other things elsewhere. You're going to have to think about things that if you want to have your cake and eat it too, you're going to have to pull something else has got to give, right? And I actually had a conversation with a client this week, and he mentioned in his check-in, he's like, if you could just give me your genetics, that'd be great. And I kind of painted a picture to him that, my life is very much set up for me and my goals. And for me to not make the progress that I've made, it would actually be disservice to myself, because I wake up when I want, I go to bed when I want. I've got no boss. I am my boss. I train when I want. I am able to make all my meals fresh. I'm able to go for a walk whenever I want. I have everything set up for me to spend as long as I want in the gym, recover as well as I want, eat whenever I want, have the foods I like. And that's ultimately going to lead to me make more progress over time, especially since I enjoy it. However, things that I do kind of offset. I don't go out to eat all the time. I do it infrequently. I don't order takeaway a lot. I don't drink alcohol a lot. I don't do much else other than this type of stuff day to day. I don't go to things at the weekends really at all unless I have to. I try to limit travel as best I can unless I need to do it for work or I'm going on a mini holiday, for example. There are a lot of things I do give up indirectly that maybe other people wouldn't. I live a very hermit lifestyle, and my partner, thankfully, Emma, she does the exact same. So it makes this process super smooth for me. You might be somebody who your life is completely different. You work for somebody else. You have a job that you have to go to. You have to go into a physical place. You have to commute to work. You have to meal prep all your meals. You also maybe have kids. So maybe now kind of bedtime, wake up times, they can be a little bit off. Maybe you have other kind of stress in your life. Like maybe there's people in your family that are sick that you need to look after. There's going to be times where you're training in the gym. Maybe you're training in a very, very busy gym. So your exercise sessions can be a bit all over the place because you have to wait on machines, or you're going to have to do sessions in different order, or just all these different factors that may relate into one's inability to follow a plan to the T, recover as they would like to, and everything else that goes alongside that, right? There's so much that kind of relates to one's progression path towards a better physique or towards better strength. And now alongside that person also, if they want to follow this type of lifestyle or follow a bodybuilding lifestyle, they're also going to have to maybe say no to other things. They may have to say, no, I'm not coming home to a home cooked dinner because I want to make the dinner myself. They may have to say, no, I'm not going to my workplace drinks after work on a Thursday. And that kind of leads to a little bit more social isolation as a result. They may have at the weekends their partner who's not into bodybuilding wants to do something else that's maybe going to take them off their plan. Like, do they say, no, I'm not going to enjoy my Saturday with you and go out to dinner or coffee and get pastries or something with you? Are they going to say, no, I'm not going to do that? Or they say, yes, I will absolutely do that. And then as a result of that, maybe they're just having to kind of make their life or calories or whatever like that a little bit harder elsewhere, right? And now this person who has all of this going on also has to decide, okay, well, you know, this is what my life circumstances is like. I'm busy as fuck all the time, training in the evenings, partner is not into the same kind of goal that I have, a commute to work in a workplace. Okay, there's some aspects of my life right now to achieve my goal that are going to be hard. They're not going to be enjoyable. I'm going to have to do meal prep. I'm going to have to get up at arse o'clock to go to the gym or train in a very busy gym in the evening time. I'm maybe going to have the awkward conversation with my partner that I can't go and enjoy too many extravagant weekends away or too many extravagant nights out with my work colleagues, or I can't have too many extravagant like wine and takeaway nights at home because I've got this goal. Those are unfortunate dilemmas that some people find themselves in. And like I say unfortunate, but they're also fortunate as well because they've the option to do that if they want to. However, at the same time, depending on the level of your goal, that's going to dictate the level of sacrifice that will be needed. And I think this is just something that everybody has to kind of take into consideration when they're making a goal. Some of our pleasures in life for a specific goal may at times in our life have to be reduced, removed, put on hold. Doesn't mean they go away forever, but if you do have a goal, something has to give. And I think this is the part with many struggle with, and as well it can be a reason why some people also struggle with seeing other people make good progressions in the gym or whatever, or their physique, and they're not seeing it in their own. And I think it's important again to reflect on your life circumstance, but then also reflect on, like, you know, what you're willing to give up and what you're not willing to give up. And whatever that may be, that is the constraints at which you are now going to have to pursue your goal in. And for some people, that will make them achieve their goal faster. Some people make them go slower. Some people, if they're not willing to give up enough, they're not going to achieve it at all. But again, that's all. Those are just completely up to your choice. Anyway, I have ranted enough here. Hopefully some of that was coherent. I have a bit of more work to do, so I am going to get back into that, and then it's time for burgers. All right, it is burger time. Emma has already made hers. Well, she's prepared hers. Emma's making my chips, aren't you?
Yeah.
How are we making them?
Okay, this is how you make the best chips. You cut them into chips. Boil them for like 6 to 8 minutes.
Yeah.
Then I'm gonna put them on the paper. Pat them dry. Key. They must be dry. If they're not dry, they're gonna be soggy. Then
Nobody wants soggy chips.
no one wants soggy chips. Where is the okay? Then we're gonna season them with salt, pepper. I've got this is the chicken seasoning. The chip one's the exact same as paprika. And then a little bit of baking powder.
Okay.
Fry light, shake in the air fryer.
Shake and bake.
Max crisp for 15 minutes.
There you go. Alright, so I am going to grab my mince and make it into patties, considering my loved one is making my chips. Are you making my broccoli? Yeah, the exact same day. From my perspective, for your
Yeah, we want to
perspective.
see the BS perspective. You can.
This could be like. This would be like one of those movies where like you see the movie through the lens of one person, then through another.
Yeah.
There you go. So this is the dinner now. So obviously, have to put the tops on. Bacon, cheddar cheese, beef, bun, bit of onion in there too. A very, very small bit of onion. These chips, already tasted some, they're beautiful. Broccoli, parboiled, stock cube, coated with garlic and threw into the air fryer. Bosh! This is what the beach looks like in September. Literally last week, this beach was full. So yeah, we're just out for our second walk on the way back. And we're gonna leave the video there. So yeah, hopefully you did enjoy the rant. Hopefully you enjoyed looking at my rest day food and maybe get a little bit of inspiration as to how to make your diet less boring and you know, optimize at the same time for getting jacked. We're gonna say goodbye.
Bye.
See ya. Don't forget, like, comment, subscribe, help the channel out. I'll catch you next week.